Yeah, and they all have.
All of them, you get the mic, one real council
I give
meeting.
mine this morning. I ordered.
Right at the end where we do.
Kinda like-
swear in.
Yeah, I couldn't talk to anyone. It wasn't just us, it was.
Yep, I got.
Okay, we reviewed the budget already. Give me the ordinance. Well. There's a whole lot of- Yes. Keep as you want.
You can make it.
I tell people I can get a picnic lunch and a six pack of beer and then I'm good.
Now we gotta worry whether it's for- We got 2 minutes left.
Anybody just counting everything.
Three.
I'm sorry about your election.
Well, I knew that. They never changed it for last year. And it's been back and forth. The only thing that just was a rubber match now.
Yeah.
And it won't be.
So we just got to train.
I don't think that's.
No, that is-
That's the unfortunate part, that I think a lot of loose ends for the county.
I'm a mayor.
Things we were doing, and sure they'll die on the vine, so somebody has to. 2-year term, and I intend to put my name in it for it and fully accept not to be.
They're closed into my natural.
Well, we're working on it. Like, well,
Yeah, and I was.
oh, the mayor, I'm the mayor on. She has 2 years.
Oh, she has 2 years.
You run in the middle of it. So, yeah.
I know.
Right back on.
Exercise your drive, you don't. Or get somebody out there.
Well, I've already said on that report that. Surely wouldn't have the bridge. Wait a minute. You got 2 of them to the park, downtown, you can. How many people really want that bridge? 97% on the picture.
Play pickleball.
Probably will. Yeah. So you stack track, yeah, you got a quarter of a mile on, but it's a neat, we're gonna put it around about.
That's his name, you know, he's been in Washington State for 7 years. And he does.
I can't hear, I can't, I can get out of it. Yeah, yeah. That's what it is. It's your channel.
But it was, no, it was, yeah.
How do I get those glasses?
Good afternoon, everybody. It is 3 o'clock. We're going to get started. Welcome. For the record, today is November 21st, and this is the monthly board meeting of the Link Transit Board of Directors. And let's see, first bit of business, Selena, do we have a quorum of the directors? Looks like it to me. All right. Then I would seek, you've had an opportunity hopefully to review today's agenda along with the board packet. I would seek a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Did I hear a second?
Yeah.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, and now would be the appropriate time. You've had the opportunity to review the agenda. Any board director that believes that they may have a conflict with any of today's action items, please state that potential conflict now. Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to public comment. Now is the opportunity for anybody in the public that wishes to address the Link Board of Directors. If you could please state your name and the county in which you reside, and you'll have 3 minutes to do so.
I'm Maud Gunn. I'm Maud Gunn, and I live at Avamere Senior Living in Wenatchee. And I do ride the bus when I can get to the place where I what my appointments. And I used to ride it on number 5. And I could get to almost everywhere I went. I could get to the senior center, I could get to the college, I could get to Safeway, I could go to the clinic, I could go and almost anywhere. It went up Cherry Street and down Western, it went down 5th Street and over to Maple and came up by the senior center and then on, anyway, it went back and forth, and it was a very convenient to ride that bus. Because any place on this side of the river, it seemed like I could get there. And now, the only place I can go is Walmart. In order to get to any of those places that I have to come down here to the facility, the bus station, and get on the bus and transfer to a different bus. And there's no real good way to get home from wherever without having to wait like 40 minutes. So anyway, I would really like you to consider changing back. I was told the other day that there's a possibility or a probability that they may be starting with every 30 minutes instead of every hour up our street on Route 5. But I'm not sure that would still mean we'd have to come down to the station to transfer. It might be a little better, but I would really, and Mona Lisa is here, lives there too. She used to ride on the bus that route and did very well.
And it does good things at times, but when you need things that you have to go to other places, it kind of takes a while to get unloaded, get there in time so they can get on another bus. And it just is. It's not a time factor for anybody in an electric wheelchair or anything that has to get on or off the bus.
Mhm.
It really isn't.
So I'd really like you to consider reinstating that route.
Yeah.
Well, could we have your phone number that we could get a hold of you then and maybe kind of have a little more discussion?
Yes, my phone number is 662-5379 in Wenatchee 509.
5279.
5379.
We'll reach out to you and get a little more information.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It's helpful to have that feedback.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else from the public that would wish to address the board?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, you have 3 minutes. If you could please state your name and
No, go.
if you could please state your name and the county in which you reside.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Juanita Renkin. Currently, I reside in Chelan County, but I represent both Chelan in Douglas County, the homeless, the handicapped, the elderly. And I just want to thank Link from the bottom of my heart. I finally got the HUD stability housing voucher where a lot of rules and regulations to get into housing, and I've locked in. I think they're signing the lease or right now. for a park model home up in Chelan, the city of Chelan, where Bob, what do you do there, Bob? You the mayor?
I'm, gonna be the mayor another 41 days.
or- Precisely. So I'll be residing in Chelan up on Dietrich Road, and with all the studies from Link Plus and in the Dartmobile and the convenience, they go right there. There's already people that go there every day, so I'm very thankful for Link Plus for, I watched these folks get in and off those buses, and I understand experientially what these drivers are remarkable. They're remarkable, and I encourage everyone to ride Link Plus. Maybe before they get reelected, to come back on the board.
So,
So anyway, and I just wanted to introduce my caregiver, Willie. He came all the way from Kenya, Africa, to help me. So I'm teaching him how to love Link. If you want to say anything, Willie, you're welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
I have another question. You guys are all from different counties and stuff. How do you vote, or how do you preside which area and why you're doing it this way? How do you figure it out? You guys need to have an awareness day for each one of these guys as a board member. Get in an electric wheelchair, stay in the wheelchair all day long, do all your things in an electric wheelchair. Use the restrooms, get in and off the bus, so you can understand and feel what it feels like to get stuck. Because I have been stuck a few times on the bus or off the bus, where they drop you off sometimes and there's a thing there and you don't see it and your wheelchair stick and you go forward. Luckily, I haven't fallen on my nose because I have 2 seatbelts on. But you guys need to understand what it feels like to be in an electric wheelchair. And see how it feels. And if you do that, then you guys will have a really good understanding. You might not want to do it, but you know, it's good to humble yourself and to see what it feels like. That's my comment.
Thank you.
Because I've been in this for over 20 years. It's still tough.
And just real quick,
Thank you.
there's a new mobility coordinator with
Yeah.
Link now.
Yes. All right, any other comments before we move forward? Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to item 4, consent agenda today. 4.1 and 4.2 are found on page 4 and 15 respectively. Your minute for the October 17th meeting, as well as our accounts payable and payroll vouchers for October 1 through 31. Would seek a motion to approve those as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
second,
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, moving on to our board administration and communications, general board meeting, our member jurisdictional updates and report. This would be that time, that opportunity for any one of our board members to provide any jurisdictional updates that you would so wish. Silent group today. One last chance. All right, we will move on to 5.2 facility redesign committee report. And so I will say that the finance committee did meet on November 17th. Nick and Ed presented an updated that was it the 17th? I'm sorry, facilities. Nick and Ed presented an updated staff recommendation on the bus storage and administrative offices redesign that we've been, that all of you are familiar with. And came back with a updated proposal, updated recommendation. The 2024, which would consist of phase 1, which would be the construction of an air-conditioned, heated bus storage facility to meet our current needs as well into our future needs for bus storage. And the projected costs at $17 million versus the $23 million that we had discussed earlier on. And that was noted in the draft 24 budget that you've already taken a look at. Potential to reduce the $17 million through grants is also there. We think that there's potential to get that $17 million down a little bit as well. And then the reduction of that $6 million that, as I said, was in the draft capital budget for 2024 will be reflected in the budget that you see today. Phase one also includes site work and construction of a 37,500 square foot bus storage facility to meet, as I said, our current and future bus needs, as well as our charging infrastructure needs. Possible expansion of our parking area at the ops space, if we can, if we see some savings within that $17 million. And then moving facilities maintenance out of the current location to facilitate building a body shop in phase two. And we'll talk a little bit about that in just a minute. And then 2025 phase two would be the construction and remodel of our current admin building out at the ops base to house all of Link staff under one roof, as we've talked about before. That's been the goal, to get everybody under one roof and realize the efficiencies and operational benefits out of that. And then if possible, again, adding in that body shop into the space, which would be able to give us the ability to bring that component in-house rather than the contracting work that we're currently doing. And the committee supports this updated recommended proposal because it focuses on the immediate need that we have to house our growing fleet and charging infrastructure. And then it splits out the what I would characterize as more as a want, and that is to provide more time to address the construction costs and planning for the funding of the admin redesign. So I think kudos to Nick and Ed and others that have kind of taken a more pragmatic approach to this, separating out the actual needs versus wants. And so with that, I think the facilities, as I said, the facilities subcommittee made a recommendation to the board that we support this. So.
You didn't mention the savings.
What's that?
You didn't mention how much savings that change would make.
Well, well, off of the 23 million that we were talking about, that's $6 million that we're going to see reflected in today's reduction in the capital budget. So, yeah, for sure. Any questions?
So, Mr. Chair, since Erin McCool is not here, she wanted it to be very clear to all of you that the draft budget that you received in your packet is different than what is being presented to you today. So you have a new resolution in front of you today that has the current numbers, $6 million less in the capital budget, and there's some smaller changes, but that needs to be made very clear that we actually go into the public hearing, that there is a change from what was in the actual packet.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments with respect to this? Okay. We will move on to CEO's report.
Okay, well, I want to go back a little bit. Well, it's kind of like a birthday month for Christina here, since Mark did do a nice job last month about recognizing Christina for the APTA leadership, but we really didn't get into it. So I kind of wanted to expand on that slightly. So the APTA leadership program began in 1998. It's graduated over 630 graduates. There's 37 individuals participating in the class of 2023, which is Christina's. Now, this is a class that they submit applications throughout the entire United States. Every transit system is eligible if it belongs to APTA. And most of them are bigger systems that get actually into this class, and Christina made it. They met 4 times during the year. They did 7 capstone projects, which is these projects that each group will present to the APTA. When we were down in Florida, they have the APTA Expo that they presented to. And Christina's group, I saw 2 other capstone projects, and theirs was by far the best. And hers was cultivating a positive and productive organizational culture. And they presented a little times within the conference, and they just did an awesome job. This is it, if anybody would like a copy of it, take a look at it. But I just wanted to recognize Christina again, because she did a great job, her group did a great job, and we're all very proud of her for what she did, so Christina. Maybe one more time next month. Still 2023, but no, it's a big deal.
You snapped that picture, didn't you?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, that was, yeah. So,
Congratulations, Christine.
all right, couple of things we've been up to here. We've met with Congresswoman Kim Schreier's Central Washington Representative Ruby Gaston on October 30th. Met her out at operations base. We took her for a tour out there. We brought her down on the bus, showed her the charging units down here, took her back and had a real nice visit with her. There are, and what Mark was referring to is some money for the facility, which is coming up next year, because this is kind of, the timing of this facility is very important. We get 9 more buses in March of 2025. We have to have some place to park them, and we have to have some way to charge them. These are DC charging, we have AC charging, so we have no way to charge them. So getting this up and running, that's why we said, what is our want or our need versus our want? So we need to get that building done. She did say there's some earmark money available coming up in the first of 2024. So we're actively pursuing that money through Congressman Schreier. Also, we're meeting with Senator Maria Cantwell's Outreach Director, Richard Evans, next week, and we'll give him the same. Spiel, thank you, and try to get some money. So what we're trying to do is get chargers funded. So if we can take the federal dollars and just buy the chargers off it, we can get them, purchase them. We don't taint the entire process of building the building. If we put federal money in the whole building, the costs go up a lot. It takes a lot longer. We won't get it done. So that's the important part. The other part of the grant money, the cycles come up in the end of 2024 for 25 to 27. The state has a bunch more money, like $600 million more for facilities. And we figure that we'll be able to tap into that, at least from the state and for the federal, apply for them both for the admin portion of this. So that way we can phase it out, get what we want. What we're trying with the first go around at the facility building, we were just not getting everything we wanted. We felt that we were sacrificing some of the things we needed, and we just felt we were going too fast. So that's why we slowed it down for the facilities committee. We feel it's the right thing to do. Get what we want, not interrupt our current operations when we build it, not tear up something that's already built, which makes no sense to us, and just add on to the current building. So that's going to be a plan going forward. So I think that'll work out. I think we should be able to get some money for it, some grant money for that build out. This is not ideal up here, but it works. It works. We're making it work pretty good. And so would rather see us try to get some grant money and work towards that. And gonna save some for our own. I met with Washington State Representative Mike Steele. He's very supportive of the link, and it was a great meeting with him, and then also Wenatchee Valley Chamber, Steve Wilkinson. December's newsletter's coming out. You'll see that in December. We'll talk about the new service for January and kind of a recap of 2023. Gabby. So Clay, you asked for the driver's incident report. So Gabby has put together a report for you for this year, actually. First, I thought it was a month. I thought, well, it's a lot. But then we can see.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, that's,
In the board packet, in the board packet.
hang on,
So
we'll pull that up here.
So since this is the first time we're putting it in the staff report for your request, we thought we'd go over it and make sure we're, hitting the points you're looking for. So this is an employee incident report. So this is what the employee fills out, the coach operator. And it's anything that could be out of the ordinary on their shift. Okay, so it could be they come into a stop and there's a tree limb and you want to report that, and this gives them a written documentation that they've reported it. So what we did with the incident data that you will see shortly, but is also in your board packet,
It's at the very bottom.
is it talks specifically to guest issues that we may have on the bus. So we started tracking this in 2021 when we went fare free as part of a hey, we need to keep track and see how things are going, if this, is going to create any additional issues on our bus, and we just need some objective data to be able to track that. So that's what this is about. So that's specific to intoxication, guest disputes, disorderly conduct. Mask is when we started this also, so that was broken out so that we were clear what we were looking at for disorderly conduct. And then denied rides. Denied rides are for folks when they show up at the bus stop. The operator, for whatever reason, denied a ride. Maybe they had an improper beverage cup and weren't willing to throw it away or empty it, and so the ride's denied. Or often what happens is folks will want to try to get on the bus at an unsafe spot. A lot of times at like red lights. And so they want to get on, and the operator is, nope, sorry, that's against policy, can't put you on the bus. So that's what denied ride looks like. You'll notice that denied rides is very small. So I wanted to point that out, specifically. I assure you the number is higher than that. But this is only gets counted if one of these gets filled out. So if an operator, at the end of the shift forgets to do it, then it's not gonna get counted. But, for the most part, you know, operators are really great about filling out their incident reports, especially when it comes to, you know, safety aspects, out on the routes. So, this is showing data January to October, for 2022 and 2023. So the same time frame. So it's not the whole year of 2021 compared to only, this year to date. So for the most part, and I double checked this because I thought it was very strange that we had exactly 62 disorderly conduct from 2022, 62, and right now so far 2023 is also 62. So I found that interesting from a data standpoint that they came out exactly the same. But disorderly conduct is our highest one. That's where there's any type of direct conflict between guests and operators, cursing back and forth, and guests not responding to the operator, telling them, hey, you need to stop eating on the bus, or you can't be swearing on the bus. So that's where those types of disorderly conducts. And then we broke out any issues with intoxication or anything like that specifically, just so that we could have a clearer picture. Guest disputes are disputes between guests. It happens, folks. You know, we all know each other out in town. Sometimes Wenatchee and East Wenatchee happens, and you run into folks that maybe you're not really best friends with, and so they can have their own disputes on the buses. Or more likely getting off the bus, because our operators do a great job. And they're like, I'm sorry, you need to take that off the bus. Someone can stay and someone should go. There'll be another one in 30 minutes. So that all makes sense, Clay, and is that what you were
Yeah, I think
looking
it's
for?
good. Thank you.
Okay.
This is, you know, it's more from a trend standpoint, make
Right.
sure we're not trending in a direction where the, you know, passengers feel unsafe.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So for intoxication and guest disputes, we're trending down. Disorderly conduct, we're right in line with where we were last year, so.
And that's good to see the intoxication, because just observing going around town nowadays, you would think that count might be getting worse, so.
Sure, yep. And so it is up from 2021. I mean, I want to make sure that we point that out. I mean, clearly that's a jump. I don't have any real information as to why that might be. I know that operators have gotten very, very good about filling out incident reports, so part of that could be part of the picture, but I'm sure it's not all of the picture.
But you have to also remember, we're hauling a lot more people this year than we did last year.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Per capita.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
not bad. Yep. Thank you very much.
Where does falling asleep on the bus or sleeping on the bus, does that fall under disorderly conduct?
It would fall under disorderly conduct if the guest wasn't responsive to not falling asleep on the bus. So, sorry, you can't sleep on the bus. If they wanted to fight, you know, get into an argument or anything like that about it, then it would fall under disorderly conduct. So, and this, Paul's used to seeing these, and we changed the format a little bit, so it looked a little bit more like what the board's used to seeing, so that's what you'll be seeing moving forward. Will be a different report.
So the operators have to physically fill out.
Operators fill this out, and that's what gets put into
So-
this documentation.
Speculate, how long until you're equipped with an app to do that, which will directly report into the database? Much more convenient for the operator, much more convenient for whoever's collecting the data.
Yeah, I don't know how long we are from that. But we have had discussions about whether or not doing incident reports via computer when you get back to operations, but nothing specific to an app currently.
Yeah, I was just thinking something to be simple enough. to
Yeah.
Take 15 seconds
Mhm.
and it would geofence where.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, timestamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, route. Inbound, outbound, absolutely.
Something to think about.
Absolutely, yeah, it'd be interesting.
Still need some sort of description, I would assume there.
Yeah.
But take more than 15 seconds.
You just push different buttons. He was drunk as.
We're actually having those conversations in our labor management meetings, because I think there is interest from both sides to gather the most accurate, timely information, just as we decide to, you know. make
One
sure
job.
we're ahead of it.
Yeah, and once you operate it, after you all be safe.
Okay, thanks, Gabby. Right, Christina's gonna go over quickly our service changes for January.
There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna give a quick update about what we're adding in January. Kind of the short story is, it's a lot, and I'm super excited to report that. So we've talked, quite a bit about Vision 2020 projects over the past few months. So just a reminder, it's 30+ projects to be implemented over a time period of about 6 years. In January, we were looking at adding what equals out to, over the course of a year, 12,500 additional revenue hours. That's a huge number. About a 12-13% increase in what we're operating now. So really, really significant, just continuing to kind of deliver on our promise to voters. Within the urban area, there's a number of improvements, mostly around span, but Route 1 and Route 2, those are our routes that provide kind of overlapping 15-minute service from Columbia Station to Walmart, and then kind of branch into South Wenatchee and East Wenatchee. We're adding an additional hour of combined 15-minute service on those, so that'll extend. Right now, that kind of ends around 5 p.m. It'll end around 6 p.m. in the future, starting in January. Route 3, which is our service to CWH, kind of up Okanagan. We're adding an earlier morning trip at 6:30 a.m. and a later evening trip at 7:30 p.m. That lets us better serve some hospital shift times. We are improving routes 4 and Route 5 to every 30 minutes. Right now, those are every 60 minutes. So that, yeah, sure.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Based on the comments we had at the beginning, we changed Route 5, I assume.
Route 5, it won't go, the alignment will not change on it, but yes, we are improving it from 60 minutes to 30 minutes, kind of echoing back.
Changing the route here, but we did in the past change it.
Yeah, we changed it. That happened in the big kind of service redesign that went into effect July of 22. Yeah.
So it's been that way for quite a while.
Yeah, it has been. But that extra frequency, I think, will help quite a bit.
Thanks.
Route 7, which serves kind of Target and Walmart and goes to quite a few locations. We're adding a new evening trip on that at 7:30 p.m. And then we're also improving weekend service. So that'll operate every 30 minutes. And then Route 9 in South Wenatchee, we're adding several evening trips on that. So a new 8, 8:30 and 9 p.m. Trips on that route. Making some improvements to Chelan area service as well, adding 3 new round trips on Route 21. So new departures at Columbia Station at 7 a.m. and then also at 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So kind of expanding our frequency during the peak times. And then our Chelan DART service, we're expanding the hours on that as well. So right now it operates from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. We're expanding it a little bit earlier in the morning. So we'll start at 7:30 a.m. instead. And we've had several requests from Lake Chelan Health to add that earlier morning service that better aligns with kind of appointment times and other shift times there. So I think that will be a good improvement. On routes 122, which is the Leavenworth Express, as you'll remember, we implemented that on kind of a limited basis here just back in October. We're expanding that quite a bit come January. So that'll be a total of 6 round trips on weekdays. We really designed it to provide an 8 a.m. arrival in Wenatchee and then a departure a little bit after 5 p.m. back to Leavenworth. So that's kind of how the times worked out. We're going to serve the hospital only on the current trips only. So everything else will not serve the hospital. And then on Route 22, kind of with those express improvements, we're going to actually go back to serving all Shaston trips. So on the weekdays anyway. So all trips will be scheduled into Shaston. We're gonna keep the weekend on call for now and just kind of keep monitoring how that's doing. And adding some Sunday service. So this is really exciting for our rural communities. So Rock Island, Malaga, and Waterville will have Sunday service come January. Super exciting. We've really tried to mirror Saturday and Sunday schedules. So we're actually improving Rock Island's Saturday schedule. So the new Sunday schedule will match that. And overall, I think this is really exciting and glad that we can finally implement it. So I won't go through all this in a lot of detail, but essentially there's a lot of improvements here and these all tie to our Vision 2020 commitments. So kind of just click through and where that takes us. So as of October, we were estimating about 64% complete with our Vision 2020 implementation. All of these changes make a big dent. So we're estimating about a 10% improvement. So about 74% complete with when these go into effect. So it's a lot. And then really, in terms of kind of tracking where we should be over the course of the 6 years, this really has us in super good shape, I think, well ahead of where we kind of need to be. So happy to take any questions if you have them.
Questions for Christina?
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Quite a bunch of them.
Making it dent.
Thank you.
I got a quick question. What changed in Shaston to justify increased service? I thought that was one of our lowest ridership. Has there been a populace increase, new employers, anything that's gonna change from where it was now? Other than just spending more money and increasing frequency?
Yeah, it's tricky because the ridership is kind of like just good enough. And we tried the on-call and I think we also just had some operational issues with it where occasionally we would miss a rider, have to like go back and get them. And it just ended up kind of not working the way that I had hoped. So just for operational ease and making sure that we're, serving people in Shaston well, we decided to revert back. And also with the new express trips, people will have a new option that's faster and more efficient and more competitive with driving. So we figured that trade-off, we just go back to serving it.
It's like what, 2 minutes, 3 minutes to go in and out? 4 minutes?
Something in that range. It's definitely several.
Pretty
minutes.
minimal. I think we've served it forever until just, 6 months ago roughly?
We made that change also July of 22.
22.
Yeah, trying to keep doing the on-call thing.
Tried it.
Didn't quite work how we hoped.
Other questions? Thank you, Christina.
Sam, could you put up the scorecard, just the first one, the ridership?
From the packet?
Yes, please. Just wanted to bring this up, won't go through all the scorecards, but I did want to keep bringing this to you because this is kind of what we're going after.
Performance.
There we go.
Thank you.
Make that smaller, there you go. So the blue represents 2023. And as you can see, we're almost off the charts for this last month. So I just want to bring that to your attention that ridership is up a lot over last year, and we are on track of getting over 1 million boardings this year. So that's the first time probably in at least the last 8 years, if not longer. So it's working. We can go through them all, but I just wanted to bring that one up for you. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Sam. All right, the other things is December 16th is our Link's 32nd anniversary. So you're all welcome to come down and have breakfast with us or lunch down at Operations Base. We'll start at 5 o'clock in the morning serving breakfast on the 15th. So Jim, I see you're gonna be there. We'll have hot breakfasts and then we'll have lunch in the afternoon.
Still serving breakfast at lunch?
Yes, we could. Randy, if that's what you want, we'll do that.
Hell, we'll even throw in cookies, Randy.
What's right?
15th?
Yeah, Friday, December 15th.
Where?
Yeah, at Operations Base. Kyle?
When was the last time we did over 1 million boardings?
2015, I believe, was the last year we did it.
How are we compared now operationally compared to how we were then with frequency of service and operations of hours?
I don't have that answer, but I can get it for you next time. Yeah.
If we had more or less, or.
You know, over the years, it's kind of, our service has kind of gone like this based upon funding and where it's been. I don't have that number, but I'll bring it back.
I'm just curious if you take into consideration inflation and everything else, if we're doing it more efficiently now, or what we've learned, or we did. better
It's
then.
costing more.
Well, obviously with inflation, but yeah, I mean, frequency of hours would tell you.
Yeah, I don't have that off the top of my head, but we can,
We didn't do, weekends back then, right?
we did not do Sundays,
Oh,
correct?
So
Yeah,
it's Saturday.
right, we did 6 days a week. And then back in the early nineties, when it first started, I think the highest year ever was about 1.6 million boardings.
Take money aside, you look at the hours that you operated. And you could look at what we were doing right to get that amount. Or what we're doing better now, just based on the number of hours we operated on your total boardings.
Right, so I mean, and part of it is, you know, the areas we serve, some of them are not very productive. But if you want to link those communities together, Waterville's a great one, example, there's not a lot of boardings, it's a long distance. But we have, you know, that's part of our service area, we want to provide service to that area. So providing, if we increase the frequency, is that gonna increase boardings? It may give better options. Right now, I think the last trip out of Wenatchee is at 5 o'clock. So if you miss that, you're walking or thumbing a ride or figuring out another way to get there. So if we increase the frequency, then your overall, you know, production goes down. So those are the questions that we're gonna bring to the board this next year about performance measures is what is our tolerance for our routes? Our 21s, 22s, I think there's a couple in town that are just knocking it out of the park. There's some other ones that are just really low, but we're providing we're coverage for that. And that coverage is very important. We have the biggest service area in Washington State. We cover a lot of ground. In between that, those pickups like Chelan, you got Wenatchee, 18 miles later, you got Antioch, another 18 miles, you got Chelan. There's not a lot in between. And same with Waterville, you got Rondo and Waterville, so a lot of, you know, there's a lot of space that this doesn't, you know, we've got to cover, but we don't have a lot of return on our investment, if you want to call it that. So that's why I think what Christine is trying to do is bring more frequency in town, which gives riders more options, instead of saying, oh, can't, because I don't want to wait an hour for the bus for 45 minutes if I miss it. Now it's every 15, every half hour, then that makes it a lot more frequent, a lot more, at least gives you a lot more options. Take the bus.
Well, and that's in keeping with what we as a board talked about, making it easier for the rider to use, more convenient and more opportunity to count on that. And then we have a real shot at gaining ridership consistently because it's something that they can really rely upon. So.
And some of the service in Vision 2020, you know, we're discussing, it's later night, so the productivity, if you go to midnight, there's not a lot there, but it gives you those individuals coming in from Chelan or Leavenworth or vice versa, that last trip, at least an option to get home. So how we actually roll that out, it probably won't be a fixed route, it'll be a DART or contracted service or something, but at least we're trying to get those options out there, so at least if you do need that last trip, it's available. And that's kind of the whole vision of that Vision 2020 is to have that span of coverage and also the frequency during the day when you can meet most people's needs.
And the efficiency. People can count on getting there within, an hour instead of 5 hours or 2 hours.
Right.
They're much more likely to ride it.
Right, but I think also what goes along with it is being cost effective and making sure that what we're putting out on the street makes sense financially too. And so that's, so we're getting it out there. Now we're gonna start fine tuning it. And create these performance measures that will actually give us some measurements to look at. So, but Kyle, I can get that stuff next month for you. Yeah, no. It's a good point. Let's figure it out. Because we do have a board meeting next month. A lot of times we don't, but since we skipped the September one, we do have a few things on the agenda that we'll bring next month. So we hope we can keep it short, promise, because that's the Christmas week. I think this one's the 19th. Yeah, December 19th. So
We're gonna have a forum.
Well, if we don't, we'll let you know. Then you
We'll
can-
let you know.
Okay. So we'll get that for Kyle for you on January. Okay.
Yeah, it's not, maybe the president, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we hit that number, and my recollection is that we had less frequencies, so what were the trends that enabled us to? And can we incorporate those trends with higher levels of service and get even more out of it?
No, good point. Okay, that's all I have, Mark.
That's all you have? All right, very good. So we are at now in our agenda, coming to our public hearing. And this is specific to resolution 2023-25, which is considering, Link Transit's, proposed operating, budget as well as the capital budget for fiscal year 2024. I don't know, do we have, folks from the public online? We don't have any online. We do have folks from the public and chambers. So the cadence of this will be that we will have a staff report on the proposed resolution. We will then have an opportunity for public to provide comments specific to the proposed resolution, as well as any written public comments. We will put that into the record as well. We will close the public comment portion of the hearing. I will then turn it over to my fellow directors for discussion and an opportunity to weigh in on the proposed resolution. So with that, I would turn it over to Justin and Nick for guiding us through the staff report.
Okay. Justin got a quick PowerPoint, shows the changes that it made. And then,
Justin, you can hide the bar too. The top right. And then hide panel, video panel.
there you go.
Okay, sorry. What I'd like to begin with is line, summary of a few revisions were made since the board workshop last month. We did one decrease to the operating budget we like to. We have budgeted a 7% increase in medical insurance expense. And now we have received the actual increase for next year. Not until a 5% increase over 2023, so we'd like to reduce the operating budget by $81,144. And that will equate to a total for operating budget of $27,930,049. Any questions on that?
We like reductions.
Me too. Yes, and also we have two reductions to the capital budget that was presented last month. The first is the reduction for the facility expansion operation base of $6 million that was discussed earlier. And we're also reducing the category for voucher vehicles due to the fact that we have purchased 2 vans since the last meeting. So the total expense over the 2 years will be the same, but the budget for next year should be decreased by $83,475. So that will bring our total for capital budget to approaching 2,756,704 as presented today. Any questions on that?
I like it.
So, to recap our transfers that now decreased since what we received in the board packet last week. The transfer to facility build in particular is one that changed. It's been reduced from $20 million down to $14 million. So our total transfers to the limit account for next year will be $15,450,000 instead of $22,450,000. And our projecting ending tax for 2024 has also increased due to the reduction in facility transfer. So operating tax projected increase of an additional $6 million from 4.6 million to 10.6 million. And that brings our total projected ending cash to 18,989,000. That was previously projected to be 12,989,000.
Yes. So we can go through the financials, we've got them. Few printed out here, they're the same things that you received last month, except for those two changes, three changes actually, two in the capital, one in the operating. Pleasure of the board, if you'd like to go through those or.
I think we've all seen
I'm
it.
good.
Yeah.
It just, now we've seen it in a better light. It's even better.
Yeah. You're good with this?
We're good.
Okay. So with that, then, does that conclude the staff report? Yes. Then, thank you, Justin. Thank you, Nick. Do we have anybody from the public that would wish to speak specifically to the proposal? And if you do, would you please state your name and the community in which you reside for the record? Hearing and seeing none, and we don't have anybody online. Hearing and seeing none, do we have any written comment that needs to go into the record? Okay, so with that, then I will close the public comment portion of the hearing and turn it over to the board for further discussion and or action.
Mr. Chair, to get it on the floor, I make a motion to adopt resolution 2023-25 establishing Link Transit's operating and capital budget for the fiscal year 2024 as presented at the November 21, 2023 public hearing and meeting of the authority board.
Second. It has been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. I think that is a record.
And one to be proud of.
All right.
Got us all warmed up with those reductions.
Set up.
In all manner of seriousness, I do think that the move, I do think it's a wise move with regard to the facility plan moving forward, so good work on that. Moving on to our discussion action items, 7.1, adoption of Link Transit's operating, already got that, never mind. Small and attractive asset policy revision, resolution 2023-26. You can find that, the resolution on page 46, and then the proposal on page 45 of your packet.
I've got a few different things here. I think I'm in line for the next three. These are kind of some housekeeping things that we found and some things that came up in our state audit, looking at our policies. First one being, our small and attractive asset policy, which was last done in 2017. The largest change to this is actually, increasing the dollar amount in which we start recording small and attractive items from $100 to $500. And then removing the word, some language in it that was cell phones. We still keep smartphones in the tracking, and then phone systems and projectors, removing that from it also. But this is due to computer stuff and also tools in the shop. We found that the cost of a lot of goods are well over $100. But we asked the state, what are other agencies doing? They said most agencies we go to are $500 is their minimum number. We haven't had it set at 100 since, I don't know when it was, because it was before 2017. With the cost of increase, we were
Say the
asking,
1900s.
we're asking to go to that $500 limit. Alternatives considered is if you guys want to change it to 200 or 300 or something that you want us to track out those small and attractive items.
Are these, assets depreciated?
No, these aren't depreciated assets. Anything over $5,000 goes into depreciation.
It's considered capital.
So, yeah, so between 500 and 5,000 is what we're looking at as tracking in that way. Anything under 500, we would not stick an asset tag on in parts and things like that. Or in tools, not in parts, in tools and in like the tablets in front of you all have asset items in front of them. They're well over, or cell phones would all have some asset tag tracked to them or tracking the serial number. Those things would still happen. It's the battery operated shop vac type situation at the fuel island that gets used every night. At $130 to purchase one, we have to track that. Asset tags are tough on an item that get used every night, but that's one of the things that they said, hey, you needed to have something on that. Writing link transit or inscribing link transit and it wasn't good enough.
So Ed, I would be more inclined to say $1,000.
That's, kind of wondering that myself.
That's up to you guys. I was happy at 500.
You know, I think the 500 is good because it sets a limit, and a lot of the electronic stuff like phones are usually under unless you get a special phone. And 500, if it is electronic or some kind of technology, IT tracks it separately and they track it. So I think we're pretty happy with the $500 limit.
I would be pretty pleased with that. I appreciate that, but that's the changes that are proposed here in that small and attractive policy.
To approve resolution 2023-26.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
I was just wondering, this is small and attractive asset policy, is there a large and unattractive?
Let's think the same thing.
Not that I know of from the state, no.
Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Ed, you're on next.
Okay, so the next one is our surplus of property other than real estate policy update. So we've been talking to you guys about being able to give some of our vehicles nonprofits and doing things like that for the future, our vehicles that we're disposing of. So we went through and said, well, if we got to do that, we need to make sure it meets our surplus policy. So I went through the surplus policy and looked at it and said, well, one, it states the finance manager as Nick Covey, so we need to change that to Justin Brockwell. The other one is it had general manager in there, so changing that to chief executive officer. And then there was a section on under the method of disposal for government agencies to give it to them at market value. And we think we probably need to change that since we've done some other things in the past and the board's given, for instance, Douglas County a bus, not at market value. We probably better change that to a negotiated price. And then also adding in a line 6 in that method of disposition as transfer to nonprofit organizations. If we go forward with being able to transfer some of these surplus vehicles to nonprofits, we need to have that in there also. Those are actually the changes that need to be made down to the wire in that one.
Is that approved by the state? They're not a governmental agency. So it can be what if it's nonprofit, but what if it's non-governmental nonprofit?
It is fine. Non-governmental nonprofit is fine. They have to have a what? Is it
501c3c?
Yeah. Yes.
One suggestion, instead of changing the name from Nick Justin, just say financial manager, period.
We can do that.
That way, next time it changes, we don't have to.
We can do that too. That was highly suggested, right after this went out to you guys. Like I said,
Adjustment going somewhere.
I'd be glad to change that.
Golfing. Golfing, yeah.
Is there a policy in there that, just one thing I'm kind of buyer beware, if you have such a broad terminology, as someone with 501c3, well, how do you determine that you will give a bus to this person, but you'll tell this person no?
So we're bringing that policy to you probably maybe next month, January, how we will dispose of it to a nonprofit. There's certain criteria they have to actually adhere to. And one of them's a
I didn't go any sideboards, because you get in trouble if you just give one to someone and say, oh, I don't like this.
No, for the nonprofit policy is coming to you guys, like Nick said, either next month, maybe January, when you're actually gonna get that policy put in front of you. But just having the wording in this part of the policy to say nonprofits will at least let us do that. And get to that point.
I also had a question on market value using the auditor versus negotiated. I mean, if we have it worded as market value, as a board, we can still make exceptions. Or not.
So just removing, so right now we have in the method of disposition, the thing's not changing. One, state procurement list, we can put it on the state procurement list. Public auctions, which is what I do with most all of those vehicles. And this would apply to not only vehicles, this is anything that's not, auction this table because it's worth something, that would be it. Solicitation of written bids. Negotiated sale is in our policies. And then transfer, what was in it was transfer to another agency or government at market value, and I just want to pull the market value off. The decision would be made by the board, or if it was determined that the market value was less than, it would be made, when I present to you for the vehicle cost, it would be made to you as to what we're gonna give to whatever agency, what we're gonna get out of it. Or if we're gonna take anything for it.
4 and 5 are essentially the same, it's just that 5 specifies.
Government agency, exactly. Yeah. The transfer to nonprofit organizations is the big add. Yeah.
I would make a motion that we accept those recommendations, that we adding in the nonprofits. Resolution 2023-26 and 2023-27. You already reported out. Yeah, thank you.
You want to add in changing just to finance manager, not naming the finance manager?
Yes, I would make that. Motion to amend that.
It's been moved and seconded. Is everybody clear on the motion? Yes. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Ed.
Oh, you're not done with them.
I'm not done with you yet. The vehicle surplus.
So in June, I brought you a vehicle surplus list. And I asked for vehicle surplus, and this is the same list that I brought you then. But in our surplus policy, it states I have to give you, and anything over $5,000, I have to give you an estimate of cost. So if you were to look at that sheet, I've added an estimate of cost to this, and I also added in the background that could go to nonprofits. This is a cleanup of what I did in June.
A little bit of prognostication and, well, it's reflected.
I read the surplus policy and went, we didn't do that right.
Fair enough. Any questions? or Ed? Entertain a motion.
I would, make a motion that the board authorize, staff to surplus vehicles that have exceeded useful life and have been replaced.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Approved unanimously. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Ed. Okay. All right, next up, Pam. Uh, 7.5 legal services contract. You can find that on page 53 of your packet.
So staff wanted to bring this to you as a discussion item only. It is below our formal threshold, but it is the the general legal services contract coming up for an addendum. And we presented the proposed addendum in the packet. So if you have any questions, feel free to stop me, but we are planning on 166,000 over this 5-year contract addendum, which is about 33,000 in legal each year. And the contract does say that will allow anywhere from a 2% to a 4% increase in cost each annual calendar year, and it was over 4.5 in the CPI index. So we agreed on 4%. And did you want to hear any of the details on what those current rates are, what they will be, or what they were in the past?
How much was the increase?
The increase for each category was hovering right around 4% because they go to the even dollar for their hourly rates.
Okay.
Yeah.
So nothing else substantively changes within the language of the contract. So.
Correct. Yeah. So the only changes in the addendum is just the terms of service, and they supplementally put their rates every calendar year outside of that contract agreement.
And this is a 5-year contract?
Yes, so we'll go through December 31st of 2028.
I'm not complaining, I'm just wondering why so long.
It works really well. It takes a little bit of effort on both sides to go through it, and we're all happy parties.
I think the last one was, the last one 5 years also.
Yeah, so the current one is 5 and our original was from 2014. So they've just always been historically 5 years.
So this is for general legal services, and then we sum it through negotiations.
This is just a continuation.
Yeah. And it allows them to develop their internal infrastructure to support us.
And we've been with Ardmore Wallace for 2 years. 3 years.
So if we use them as our individual organizations, attorneys, do we have to recuse ourselves?
Yes. Yes, you do, Randy. Everything.
Oh, there's no action item in this. It was just a FYI for you guys. And if there was any recommendations, we can take that under consideration, but the staff plan to have this signed.
Go for it. Yep.
Okay.
I would agree.
Thank you.
And the link is not there.
Right, we are 5, and we still have an executive session. We're in good shape, I think. Yeah, before we call, does anybody want to bring anything out of staff reports and highlight? If you don't, then we can go straight to our executive session. If you do, I don't want to overlook that opportunity, given that we have, we're in pretty good shape.
You got good information.
Okay, all right, so then with that, then why don't we get Aaron on the phone, and then once we do, we can we'll move into executive session. Actually, end before 5 o'clock.
Yeah, we don't have to go until 5.
No,
we don't have to.
And I think we've gone up, so you need to save some time to average it out.
I understand. Are you ready? Okay, I'm gonna put you on speaker. Okay, everybody got Aaron on the phone.
Hi, Aaron.
We have some Aaron published.
So house,
So with that, I would seek,
hold on.
I think, Aaron, do you think we can get this done in about, 15 minutes?
Yeah, I don't know if it will take that long unless people have a lot of questions. So
Given
I'll
the-
defer to you, Nick. I think 10 or 15 minutes should be sufficient.
Yeah, I think, let's start off with 10. It's pretty straightforward, I think.
Yeah, so I would seek a motion. Mr. Chair, I move to go into executive session for purposes of potential litigation under the council's present for a period not to exceed 10 minutes. Thank you, Commissioner Overbay. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. So we will ask the public to step out for 10 minutes and then we will, once we've closed executive session, we'll come back into regular session and be welcome. We'll be back in at, what would that be? 5 or 4:18?
We will. We'll be following people.
It's pretty much what Aaron said.
Yeah. Okay, Aaron, if you could kind of give us a rundown on the topic, that'd be great.
Sure. Can everyone hear me? Do I need to speak up?
No.
Yeah, maybe you do.
It's like a little bit okay on the Zoom.
I can hear you.
Speak as loud as possible.
She separated everyone out. So yes, we are okay on the Zoom.
Aaron, do you want me to give a quick background and then you could fill in any questions?
Is everyone able to hear me though, Nick? I didn't.
I think so, pretty good. Joyce,
Yeah.
I can put it more in the middle here. So this is in regards, we had,
Hey, hang on a second. I think your subject.
put it right, yeah, here.
Okay,
Can you hear us now, Ann? Okay, perfect. All right, would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion that the board approve retroactive contractual wage payment to Ricky DeRock for the years 2021, 2022, and 2023.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Everybody clear on the motion? Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Great. We don't have any public present that I'm aware of, and so there's no need for public comment period. And so with that, is there anything else that we need to discuss that we haven't discussed that you wish to discuss?
Maybe other evaluation.
Thank you for that reminder. I was reminded because it completely, time has a way of elapsing very quickly that we're coming up on Nick's initial 6-month period as CEO. And you'll recall that within our agreement with Nick that the board chair would perform a 6-month evaluation, which would tie into in timing for consideration for his compensation at the start of 2024. And so to make sure that we're hitting that cadence properly, I'll be working on a performance evaluation and bringing that back to the board. And post haste. So any questions about that? Any concerns about that? If you do, please don't hesitate to share them with me, but otherwise I'll be reaching out here shortly. So thank you, Selena, for reminding me of that. Here, I thought it was just 3 months ago. Definitely not. With that, unless there's something else that we need to discuss, this board is in adjournment. Thank you. Oh, even before 4:30. How about that? We just banked that.